Hello everyone, I am your host Ingrid Thompson and welcome to So You Want to Start a Business episode number 103. We have two guests today, Manny Barbas and James Hachem, and they have built a pretty fantastic business, and here they are describing some of the secrets to their success.
Well, it goes a bit deeper than that. What I knew is that something can trend and you can jump on the trend and then it'll eventually die off quickly, because that's what I've done previously. But what I knew is that, and what I'd learned, is that if you jump on a sort of trend, but you make a product that bridges the gap between sort of affordability and price, and it actually works, and then you can use that to build a brand and build products around it, that's where you'll succeed. So that's what we kind of did. So we saw that the clay masks were trending. We formulated the product. We made it a size that we provide a lot of value to the customer for what they're paying. We made sure that it worked, and it really does work. And from there, it was just get it in the hands of everyone we possibly can to try it out, and then let them do the talking. I guess let them sort of refer it to other people. Slowly, the brand grew. Well, actually, not very slow. It was pretty quick, actually.
And it certainly did grow quickly. The numbers tell it all. This is a business product development 101. Make a product that works. Make it in a size that you can price at a level that provides value, fabulous value, and then put it in the hands of as many people as possible so that they can start talking about it. These two gentlemen have created a terrific business based on a product that is absolutely changing the lives for people. In this interview, Manny and James are so incredibly generous with their sharing their knowledge and their lessons learned. They talk tactics about pricing and how they figured out exactly what to charge for their clay mask. This is another example of the power of social media today and what happens when you send your product to 1,000 influencers all in one hit. They frequently come back to the topic of value and about the value they provide through their product and products. As always, there is no advertising on this podcast apart from me and my book. This episode is brought to you by my book with the same name as the podcast, So You Want to Start a Business. Head over to wherever you buy your books online for Kindle or the physical book. Go now and get your copy. For those who like to listen, the full audio version is being made available through the podcast. Cycle back. Most recently, I've been reading Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 will be coming soon. If you prefer to read and want an extract, try before you buy, head to www.thestartupsteps.com where there's about 20 pages. Anyway, enough from me and my book. Let's listen to what Manny and James have to say about starting and running their own enormously successful business and so much more. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hello, and here we are today with Manny Barbas and James Hachem. Good afternoon. Actually, good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
We're good, thanks. Thanks for having us, Ingrid.
Thanks, Ingrid.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much. I know there's 1,000 things going on in your business. Firstly, where are you right now?
In our office.
And that's in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, in Melbourne,
It's
Australia.
in Melbourne. Lovely. So tell us, what is your business? What is the business that you are in?
So the business that we're in is a skin company called Alya Skin that launched about 16 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
James and I started working on the idea and concept about 10 months before that. So in 2017, we came up with the idea, and then it came to fruition at the start of January 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we started off with a pink clay mask, which is our hero product that we use to get the brand out there. And now we have 3 different skincare products that cater for the 18 to sort of 26-year-old or up to 30-year-old market. Mostly for females, but we also do have the occasional male that uses the product. And our plan is to just grow different SKUs and grow the brand across Australia and globally.
Yeah, and already it's growing at quite an exponential rate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite the journey, and we've been fortunate enough that we were able to scale quite quickly. And yeah, it's only been 16 months, and we're almost in 1,500 to 2,000 retail stores, which is probably the most exciting part for Manny and I. That's probably where we get most satisfaction out of the business.
So it's physically in stores as well as an online retail product as well, isn't it?
So when we launched as the e-commerce business, and we never really thought about retail until maybe 2 months in, we just started reaching out to every single pharmacy and retail store in Australia through white pages or yellow pages.
Yeah, we just use different database methods and data sources to get heaps of different stores, like even your little corner sort of chemist store. We did that for hours and hours, even before we started the business databasing them, because we knew eventually that we were going to send out and try and get into all these stores. But we were lucky enough because we finally did a deal with Frostbrand, who's Bondi Sands distributor. Obviously, up to Bondi Sands a lot. What they've done is inspirational, and I remember finding them online and seeing that they did Bondi Sands, and then it was good timing because at the same time we'd been speaking to Priceline by ourselves, and then found out that Priceline was like a major account for Frostbrand anyway. So once we'd gone into communications with Priceline, we sort of handed it over to Frostbrand, who agreed to take us on. And since then, our wholesale business has grown. So we kind of have two businesses under the one umbrella. We have like our wholesale and we have our online business.
It's just phenomenal, isn't it? It really is. So let's just go back. So 16 months ago, you, and sorry, I just have to say congratulations because it has been an enormously successful very, very quickly. Why did you start this business? What was your motivation?
Manny and I went to school together, both Xavier boys in Melbourne, and we were close friends until we finished school. I drifted to economics and finance, studying that, and Manny was studying as well, and we just stayed friends. And we always thought, even in year 11 and year 12, we always wanted to be in business with each other. And it was actually the business before this where Manny was doing teeth whitening. He started a teeth whitening business, and I was actually supposed to get in on that. But I remember Manny just saying, you know what, let me just do this on my own, and let's do something in the next business together. So I think we were out one day and we finally decided, yeah, let's do this. Let's get into business together. And Manny was like, you know, I've seen that clay masks are trending. And he said, let's do something in that area, in the cosmetics area. And then we sat down, chose the name, chose what color we wanted to do. You know, we went through the branding together, and that's how it came about. And yeah, like Manny said at the start, it took us 4 or 5 months of formulating the product until we were ready to launch, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how well you market a product. It's all about the quality of the product. And I think that's where we've been extremely fortunate. And you can, you know, we've got proof of how good our product is just from our ratings. And, you know, we're the highest rated pink clay mask in the world, which is quite phenomenal.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Congratulations. And I've looked at your website, and some of the before and after shots of people and the effect that the products are having it's why it works. And that's what's making it successful, isn't it?
For sure.
So what did you want? So you said you had this desire to run a business from, you know, high school, grade 11 and 12, and, you know, and Manny, you'd started something else. But what did you want from a business? Like, why did you want to be in your own business?
Well, I think for me, and probably for James as well, we're very alike. For me, I get bored easily, I guess. So, like, I don't really suit the sort of 9 to 5 job. Like, I like having responsibility and a lot on my plate, I guess. That sort of stress excites me. And building a brand and something that you can be proud of has been, like, one of my goals for ages. And having done it twice, and coming back to your question before, like, I think the reason why we worked together is because I knew that if we worked together, we could build something big. Like, I'd done business before by myself, and it was fun, but it gets boring and there's not much satisfaction working by yourself, whereas working with a friend that you trust and building something together and pushing each other, I knew that we could achieve more if there was two of us.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And it's so important that, isn't it, that the energy of both of you is more than just two, isn't it? It's exponential because you're working so well together and because you know how each other works and you know, build on each other's strengths.
Yeah, I think, Ingrid, the most important thing about working with somebody, especially like someone who's your friend, because Manny and I were obviously close friends before this, you have to trust one another, capabilities and how hard we're going to work and the quality of work, and we never ever question each other. And I think that's why we work so well together.
And why this has gone on to be successful. And we'll come back to that about the partnership, you know, how that all works in a moment. When did the business feel real? When did it feel like, okay, we're in business right now? And you've kind of alluded to a couple of points along the way that could be, but when did it actually feel real for you?
Yeah, you know what? We've been interviewed quite a few times from media outlets or podcasts, but I actually think that's probably one of the best questions we've ever been asked, because for Manny and I, it didn't actually feel real probably until maybe like 10 months in when we got into Priceline, or 9 months in. So I think we launched in January and we got into Priceline maybe September, like by the time the products were actually on shelves. But I think for both of us, that's when we were like, wow, like we're in the best, we're stocked in the best pharmacy in Australia, the most reputable pharmacy, which has some of the most quality brands in the world. And from that point in, it just motivates you even more and more to build something not only for money and for a little bit of success, but now to hopefully build a legacy where this can be around for 10 years, 15 years, you know, who knows, maybe even further than that.
Well, and, you know, I often work with health professionals, and one of the things that they say about the clients that they have is that these people depend on you. So at some point now, you have such a critical mass of people using your products. They depend on you, don't they? So that's, you know, when you say you're in Priceline, you're available to so many people, people are getting such terrific results. You know, you're creating a legacy because the product's working and people can rely on you.
Yeah, you're definitely right. We have like a cult following. Like we have a private Facebook group with around 10,000 members now. And yeah, they definitely do rely on us. And I guess it's kind of it puts a bit of pressure on us as well to constantly release new products that work. So that's why we take a little bit of time as well releasing new screws. Because like before we release anything, we want to make sure that it works 100% and make sure that whatever we release, people can buy.
Yeah.
So you don't want to let down the people that support you, I guess. So.
No. And I love your answer about being in Priceline being the moment that it was so many months in that it could have felt real earlier, but that's the moment when it really felt real. So you mentioned, Manny, that you had noticed that clay masks were trending. So you were doing this other work with the teeth whitening and, you know, you discovered in that process that how did you know that creating a clay mask and then creating these other products that people wanted this? What was it about that drew you to that customers would want that?
Well, it goes a bit deeper than that. What I knew is that something can trend and you can jump on the trend and then it'll eventually die off quickly, because that's what I've done previously. But what I knew is that, and what I've learned is that if you jump on a sort of trend, but you make a product that bridges the gap between sort of affordability and price, and it actually works, and then you can use that to build a brand and build products around it, that's where you'll succeed. So that's what we kind of did. So we saw that the clay masks were trending. We formulated the product. We made it a size that we provide a lot of value to the customer for what they're paying. We made sure that it worked, and it really does work. And from there, it was just get it in the hands of everyone we possibly can to try it out, and then let them do the talking. I guess let them sort of refer it to other people. Slowly the brand grew. Well, actually, not very slow. It was pretty quick, actually, to be honest.
I think it was pretty quick. Your numbers are pretty staggering.
Yeah, we tested on quite a few people before launch, so that gave us a good indication on how good the product really was.
Now, I'm going to ask a question here. So you're two young men. What do you know about clay masks? You know, it's a product that is used, as you said, your audience is, you know, predominantly young women. How do two young men get into a product that's a female product?
Well, I've got a sister. Manny's got a sister. And you know what, to be honest, I didn't have bad acne growing up, but I had some sort of acne growing up.
Yeah.
I was using Proactive for like most of my teenage life. And when we tried this, when we formulated it, and you know, we sampled it ourselves before we sent it out to any girls, we just noticed the difference of feeling on our face like after removing the mask. And whether you know anything about cosmetics or you know nothing about cosmetics, it was so impressive that we knew we had a winner. It really was. And even now when we still do the mask, because you know, sometimes when we're in the office, we apply the mask like ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're still impressed. And it's actually like not a joke. Like we will remove the mask and we will be like, wow, how good is this mask? Like, how did we do this?
We literally rub our fingers along each other's faces and look at each other like, right, how is this so soft? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you're so funny. And as you say, you've all got sisters and mothers and aunties, and there's women around all the time, isn't there? So you do know. But you're right, because a lot of men, also young men, do suffer from, issues with their skin. But this product's not just about acne, is it? It actually addresses a number of other issues for skin.
Yeah, exactly right. We've had customers use it for eczema. We've had customers use it for dry skin. Customers use it with sensitive skin. I was actually at the dentist the other day, and my orthodontist was telling me that she's got really sensitive skin and she has allergic reactions to most cosmetic brands or products, sorry. And she tried our mask and she absolutely loved it. And she obviously said to me that she didn't have an allergic reaction, and it felt really good on her skin. And she asked me a question. She came to me. She goes, "James, can I ask you something? It's a bit of a business question." I was like, "Yeah." She said, "It's a question about your business." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Can I use it on my 10-year-old son?" And I was like, "Of course you can." And she was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, we get it all the time where mothers are buying it for their 12-year-old daughters or 11-year-old daughters or even their boys." And that's what's so good about our product, that it's for everybody and it works for all skin types. And that's what I think the benefit is that you don't really have to be worried once applying it. In most circumstances, you're gonna love it.
Indeed. I have another technical question about the product. Did you go into a chemist and into a chemist, not a pharmacy chemist, but into a laboratory and put products together, or did somebody help you put it together?
No, so at the start, what we did is we wanted to get our own basic sort of knowledge around the ingredients that we were going to use.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, at the start, we didn't know much about skincare. So
Yeah.
we spent a fair few hours, and as I said, we're in the office for every single day, 4 or 5 months before we even launched.
Yeah.
Learning about skincare, different types of natural ingredients that were great for your skin. From there, we engaged a chemist, I guess, that put together that formula for us. So we gave them the main ingredients that we wanted to use, and then we went to a manufacturer. And from there, it was probably 10 rounds of samples before we perfected it. And that's how the mask was born, I guess.
Yeah, so months of research, getting an understanding, multiple attempts to get it right. Yeah, fantastic. How did you fund this? What were you working part-time somewhere else, or was this your side hustle? How did you fund the early days and then pay for manufacturing, and where did all that money come from?
Manny and I had been working through school and after school, so just from savings. But yeah, we did it in a really a cost-effective way.
Yeah. And
at the start, the first 2 months, we grew a little bit slower than we wanted to, but we knew that it's an expensive industry. So yeah, it paid off.
It is. It is indeed. Okay, so in the early days, you gave out your sample to lots of people. You got people talking about it. How do you find new customers? Now, I mean, it sort of works for itself, but what's your customer attraction strategies? How do you do that? How do you know where they are? What?
That's all done through social media. So
right.
The way that we market, I guess, to answer your question of how we attract new customers is through influencers, micro-influencers. So when we launched, we send out to 1,000 influencers straight away in one hit. And from there, it's been about 400 to 500 a week. We've got a team of girls that helps us send out to micro-influencers around Australia. We kind of just went city by city, every box and every agency in Australia. And when we want to launch in, say, for example, New Zealand, we do the same thing. So it's sort of we picture it as stepping stones in our mind, which I think is a really good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Prevents you from getting overwhelmed and not really, not knowing what you're doing and just sort of shooting bullets in every direction, and being blindfolded. You want to make sure you have a stepping stone pattern in your head for launch. And then we also do Facebook advertising, Snapchat advertising, Instagram advertising, So basically, across all the main social media channels, we're putting budget there. That's our target demographic.
So totally targeting that. And you know, it really is such a good example of how social media really helps businesses like yours grow, because that's exactly what it does. The micro influencers, the influencers, the, you know, advertising, Facebook, Instagram. And your Instagram's beautiful. You know, it's absolutely gorgeous. And the colouring is, you know, like your product colouring. There's everything about what you've done is really stunning. And, you know, that aesthetic just lends itself to even more success, doesn't it? So you talked earlier about, sorry.
No, saying thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So you talked earlier about getting a price point that people were going to be able to afford. Talk a little bit about your pricing strategy, because James, as you said, you've got an economics and finance sort of background. Manny, you've worked, you know, you've run another business, so you understand the money side of things. How do you decide a pricing strategy? Because once you go out there with a price, it's kind of locked in, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we struggled with at the very, very start. Like even pre-launch, we weren't set on what we were going to charge for the mask. But I think a lot of it comes down to, Ingrid, a competitive analysis. Also understanding your margins and understanding your costs. If you charge a little, if you don't charge enough and you're not left with enough margins, it can be very dangerous, and you can put yourself in a vulnerable position where you may not make any money at all. And if you charge too much, then you may not get the sales and the volume that you want. So I think we played around with it a little bit just to ourselves, you know, from $39.99 to $49.99, all the way up to $69.99. But $49.99 for us made most sense after doing, you know, a deep search in terms of a competitive analysis, working out our margins, working out how much it was going to cost us to acquire a customer, how much the product cost us, how much money we want to put into influencers. And this is the number that made the most sense to us. And it worked. So we were quite lucky, but yeah, we were at the very start for the first, I think, 3 weeks. I think we changed the price a little bit. And then I think maybe after 2-3 weeks, Manny were like, no, let's just stick to our gut and just go with it. And yeah, luckily it worked.
Yeah, and once the value is established, the price then becomes irrelevant, doesn't it?
Exactly right, and that's what we're trying to do with all our products. We're trying to you know, bring out, launch quality products for an affordable price, and I think that's what we've been able to do.
Yeah, and there are natural thresholds, aren't there, across the pricing where people go up to that. I don't even have to think about it. I'm going to spend that amount of money. And then after a certain point, people start to have to really think about the price. So it sounds like that price that you've got there is just sitting at the right threshold.
Yeah, well, it's like an impulse buy with Facebook. So any product you market on Facebook, there's always a price range that's sort of suggested as an impulse buy. And at the start, it's tough because when you release a product like a face mask that you put in your skin, and people need to be able to trust the brand and the product. So for us, it was a bit difficult at the start selling a $50 mask, which may sound expensive now until people realise how well it works. But at the start, it was tough because not many people knew the brand. So we sort of had to just plug it out at the start, get the reviews in, get the feedback out, take a hit with profit because we'd spend so much on marketing. But yeah, we're really glad that we stuck it out. And our pricing is very fair as well. We're also double the size of a lot of our competitors, and so there is a lot of value there. Like the mask lasts around 3 months if you use it sort of twice a week.
Which, you know, if you do the sums on that, it's actually not a very expensive mask each time you're using it. So it sounds to me like you know your numbers to it, like to the nth degree. You've really analysed and done the financials really strongly.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's super important with any business. Doesn't matter if you're selling skincare products, doesn't matter if you're in hospitality, regardless of the industry. I think everything, almost 99% of this world is based around numbers, and I can't express how important it is for, you know, entrepreneurs that are wanting to start their own business. You need to know your numbers. You need to know them inside out. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to become successful.
And whether it's a side hustle or a big business like yours, you know, those numbers are critical, aren't they?
For sure, 100%.
Just tell us what your revenue volumes have been. Like, just talk to us about how many zeros are attached to the sort of revenue you got, because it's something to be really proud of. Like, please do tell us at this point what's some of the results that you've had?
So as the first 4 months, I think we reached $1 million, which was, quite exciting for us. And that was coming off like our first week. I think when we launched, we did like $50,000 in revenue, which was quite crazy for, a product that no one had heard of, a brand that no one had heard of. But I think the branding and the consistency throughout the branding was just what caught the eye of most of our consumers.
Yeah.
And then after 14 months, we'd hit, I think, 7 million. And now which is, I think it's been about 18 months. Sorry. Now we're reaching about 10 million, the $10 million mark, which is
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Super, super congratulations. Thank you for that. It's just, and thank you for being on the podcast, because, it really is inspiring to people that such a simple concept done really well can be so enormously successful.
Yeah, thank you. I think for us, when you say 10 million, obviously it's a large amount of money, but when you really think about how much product you have to sell and how many people around the world have got our product, that's what the most exciting thing about the whole business is. Like when we know that hundreds of thousands of people have tried our product and hundreds of thousands of people love our product, that's what really makes you appreciate what we're doing.
Yeah, they're $50 tubes of face mask. To get 10 million, that's a lot of tubes of face mask. You're absolutely right.
Just to add to that as well, Ingrid, what's more exciting for us is that we've still got so much more to come. Like we've only established distribution in a couple countries, Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
In Canada. So what helped that revenue take off was setting up exclusive distribution links with two major distributors so far, but we've also got about 5 or 6 that we're signing with over the next 2 or 3 months. So we're kind of nervous and excited about what's going on to the business over the next few months. But it's going to be, I think we're going to experience a lot rapid growth in a short amount of time. So
and that can bring you undone as well, can't it? Growing too fast. How many is in your team right now?
We've got me and James, and then we've got about 12 girls that help us with social media, and then including that is people that do like our sort of graphic design, and we outsource a lot of work. So we don't have many people in-house in our office with us at the moment. We've just signed a new lease actually for a new office, so we'll be moving and bringing more people in-house. But James and I outsource a lot of the work to sort of like subcontractors that work with us and maybe 2 other brands as well.
Yeah, so the manufacturing, the distribution, the warehousing, all of that is taken care of by somebody else.
Yeah.
So exit strategy, is it something you've thought about? Now, this is where the partnership thing can come in. What happens if, talk to me about exit strategy. Tell us what you've thought about. What happens if one of you wants in, one of you wants out? What happens?
I think Manny and I have been quite aligned since launch. And any large decision that comes across, we always give each other time to think about it. But exit strategy is not something that we've thought about at all. We're still enjoying the business, enjoying building the brand. And with skincare, Ingrid, there's so much potential for growth. It's insane. Like at the moment, we're only in 1,500 stores. I know I say up to the word only, but it's because we're only in Australia and New Zealand. And once we launch into retail stores in Canada, in the UK, in the Middle East, and then hopefully America, later down the track, then I don't really know if we're ever going to really want to sell. Maybe it's something that will be around forever. And that's something that we've both agreed on. But, we also do know that things change. And when that time comes, we can make a decision together. But at the moment, we're both just focusing on building the brand, growing globally in retail stores and enjoying it, because we come to work every day and we love what we do. And to be able to, help people with their acne or help people with their skin, it's a good satisfaction, a good feeling.
It is. And I can hear it. Like we can all hear it. I'm sure the listeners can hear just how passionate you are about actually helping people with that. Let's have a couple of reflective questions. If you can take a magic wand and go back to the beginning, is there something you'd like to have done differently?
There's something. I think the one mistake that Manny and I have made from launch is signing with some distributors that we hadn't met overseas or we hadn't known, and didn't really work out. But other than that, I don't really think we have many regrets. I think I think we've done quite well, but it was hard. I think we got a little bit overwhelmed at the start, and we got a bit excited signing distribution deals with, you know, people that we hadn't even met or we hadn't even heard of, and it didn't end up working well for us. But that's one thing.
The thing is, though, Ingrid, is that, like, James is right, but those mistakes that we made, we're glad they happened, because now they don't happen. So now,
and they happened early enough that
the
impact wasn't as huge as it might be down the track.
Yeah, everything now is a lot more calculated, and we're a lot more mature in the way we think and the way we plan things and how we make decisions. So it's not
fantastic.
I wish we would have done differently. All the mistakes we made, which were minor mistakes, happened early on. So
yeah, that sounds fabulous. So has it been tough at any time? You know, like, what sort of things make it tough? Like, is that a word you would use, or, you know, challenging or difficult, whatever sort of, because people say, you know, being in business can be tough at times.
Of course, it's tough every day. Like, some little things pop up every day, whether it be you have 20,000 units stuck in customs that can't get out of customs, whether it be your Facebook ads aren't going well for a day, or, you know, you do all these Facebook ads and put time into making videos and they get disapproved. Like, yeah, it's definitely tough. It's just knowing how to stay positive and motivated and overcome whatever's happened, fix it as soon as possible, and make sure it doesn't happen again, and just move forward.
And just keep moving forward, indeed. So who else has been of great assistance to you? You clearly, the bond between the two of you is enormously powerful. You know, friends and family tested it out, people that you were able to give it to. But where do you get your kind of wisdom? You know, do you have a business coach, mentors? Who's been helpful?
Manny and I rely on both of our fathers, I think, for business advice. We're both very close to them, and they're both very business minded, and they've helped us along the way for sure. They've definitely helped us with the mental side of things in terms of when things get a little bit tough. They're always there for us, and they're always giving us a rational thought process.
Good.
But Sean and Blair from Bondi Sands, Manny and I have a good relationship with them. They've helped us, and we will forever be in debt for them for, you know, just taking their time and giving some advice to us in the earlier stages. And we've got our own personal mentors as well that we both look up to. But yeah, probably one of the biggest mentors that Manny's just whispering to me would be Daniel from Frostbrand, which is our distributor. So he's the marketing manager at Frostbrand. He's helped us throughout the whole process of trying to grow our brand globally.
Wow. And so that's a really good relationship, because by your brand growing, his business grows as well, isn't it? So it's that kind of win-win-win all round for someone like that. Yeah. We can't do it alone, can we?
Yeah, exactly right. And again, for all the people who are wanting to start their own business, or entrepreneurs who are in the midst of already launching their own business, I can't express enough how important it is to have mentors and how important relationships are. At the end of the day, you know, we don't know everything. Even if you think you do, you just don't. There are people out there who know more than you and who have experienced more than you. And it's always good to learn of those who've made mistakes before.
That's true. We can't know it all. We just can't. It's not possible, is it? No, thank you for that. Feedback, and it's kind of the same question, but where do you get good feedback? Who can give you upfront feedback?
The most honest and brutal feedback you can ever get in business is your customers. And that's why we take our follow-up from purchase so serious. We're always asking for results. Building private communities on social media pages like Facebook, where you can just post and say, guys, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What should we do? You know, and really engaging with them and making them feel like their opinions are valued is really important. But yeah, your customer's always right, and they'll tell you honestly, especially when they're spending large amounts of money on a product like skincare. Yeah. They're definitely going to be brutally honest. We've had pretty much 95% of the time very positive feedback. So.
Yeah. And, you know, I think one of the things that I really noticed about some of the images on your website is that the before and afters, like the before photos are, you know, showing people's skin in a particular condition. And then the after photo is not so over the top as to think, how could that possibly be? The difference is palpable in terms of the two, but the final, like the after photo, if I use that language, is still quite realistic. Like that is what someone still looks like after using the product for a certain period of time. It's so easy to get caught in this absolute glamification of something. And it looks to me like you guys have really made a conscious choice about how you portray the before and after images.
Of course. And also, like, it's something else James and I discussed, is that even with our campaigns, like, we want everything to look as genuine as possible as ads. We don't just go for the best looking females and putting every model that we know into our ads. We want to use real customers, real normal everyday people, because that's what we're trying to sell, is a product that works. Like, we don't have to fake it till you make it kind of thing, because the product does work well. And we've never ever edited an image to fake, a result or anything like that, because if we had to do that from the start, then there's no point in us even doing the business, because you're not going to be able to grow something long term if the product doesn't work. So we're very fortunate that we've developed something that works so well.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so believable and authentic, and it's terrific. So 3 key characteristics that you have that make you successful in business.
3 characteristics. For both of us, probably, we're fairly similar. I think never give up, having sort of hunger and drive from an early age.
Yeah, persistence for sure.
And being trustworthy with each other, I think, is the 3 key things that's allowed us to do so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And mistakes, so maybe 4.
Sorry?
And learning from our mistakes. So
and they're just mistakes. They're not, it's not the end of the world, is it?
Exactly.
So you've made a few suggestions to people. And so as we wrap up the conversation, and thank you so much for your time, what would you say, just to wrap up, for somebody thinking about their business or someone in business, what would you like that parting wisdom to be for people who are in their own business?
I think as Manny said, to never give up, and if you are going to make mistakes, make sure you learn from them, but don't let other people, the opinion of other people affect what you're trying to do. Just work hard and focus on yourself, focus on your business, and put in enough hard work, then it will work out. And if it doesn't, then the next business you start, you'll just learn from those mistakes and you will go again. But I think the most important thing about being in business is enjoying it. And if you don't enjoy it, then it's not going to work. You can't just do it because you want to make a quick dollar or because you want to make money. You actually have to have a passion for what you're doing. And then once you have that passion, like, the world will be your oyster once you can really, really work hard.
Yeah.
As well as, I think people say that you should have a plan B, I guess, where I completely disagree with you, because I think if you run a business and you launch a business, if you have a plan B, that's automatically putting in your head that you may not think it's going to work. And with my other previous businesses, I never had a plan B. It was, I'm going to launch this and it's going to work. So I did whatever it took to make it work. And then even if there was at times where, like, I've had businesses fail, but that was after sort of, 6-7 months of giving it all my best and exhausting every option. And then, of course, you can let it go and move on to something else or change the product or whatever. But you shouldn't have a sort of plan B and doubt yourself from the get-go, because it'll just lead to detriment in the end.
Well, because it takes, it totally makes sense to have, all in for this, absolutely focused. And I love what you said there about you have to be passionate about it, and passionate about who you're doing it for and what you're actually doing. Terrific. So it's Alya Skin, ALYASKIN.com. It's a beautiful website. All the social media is just beautiful with that. Thank you so much, Manny and James. And is there any final words that you'd like to say as we wrap up today?
I think I just want to just hone in on how important it is, again, for entrepreneurs to have mentors, to just find someone who doesn't, you don't have to be close with them, but to find someone who you can learn from, because if that person has had experience and who's done it before, then they'll be able to give you priceless advice, and it will definitely advance your business for sure.
So true. It's so true. Thank you so much. Both of you, thank you so much for so much of your time today. just fabulous.
Well, thanks for having us, Ingrid. Appreciate it.
What a terrific interview. Oh my goodness, aren't they fabulous? Thank you so much for being with us, James and Manny. But thank you for listening and listening all the way to the end. What are you taking away from this conversation? What is one really standout moment for you? Maybe there's more than one. Maybe you need to scroll back and listen to some parts of it again. Of course, I love what they say about how important it is, super important to know the numbers and know them inside out. Otherwise, it's impossible to become successful. It's really interesting how social media has helped them grow. And what did you think about how they've used social media to ask for feedback from their customers? And truly, it's the customers who can give them the feedback, as they said, the most honest and brutal feedback. For everyone listening, whether this is your first episode or you've been with us for some time, I truly believe whatever you are dreaming about can become real. These podcast episodes are designed to inspire, educate, and inform about what it takes to start, create, and grow a business of your own. We truly believe these podcast interviews provide terrific value. If you agree, please jump over to iTunes and leave your comment and rate the podcast. We know that this helps more people understand what the show is about and to spread the news. Thank you so much for that. What questions do you have? How can I help you? Have you read the book? If you need any help or you have a question, please email me, ingrid@healthynumbers.com.au, and I reply directly. You may want to jump over to LinkedIn and connect with me there and have a conversation over on LinkedIn. Anyway, whatever you are dreaming of doing, it certainly can become real. As always, we say ideas without action, well, that's what they are. They're ideas. So what action are you inspired to take today? Till the next time, thanks for being with us.